Welcome to the second part of the Nicolai Saturn M.G.U review. This video, going to have a closer look at the drivetrain, motor, battery and carbon drive. Let's get into it. So this bike uses the brand new Pinion M.G.U motor gearbox unit. So in here you've got 12-speed gearbox integrated with a motor. But let's start with the boring stuff first. The motor and battery and all the other electronics come from the Fit e-bike group system. So this is a company where you can buy different parts and modules to build your e-bike system. Any of the parts on this bike, I believe, will fit with other parts from that Fit system. So on the website, there's like multiple different display options. If you want a bigger one with a GPS map or whichever for cycle touring. It seems like Nicolai have chosen the best option for mountain biking, just from what I've seen on the website. It would be nice to see a more modern sort of top tube integrated display with the power settings. I think for mountain biking, you don't really need so much information, although I have found it quite interesting to be able to just quickly look down and see the battery power and the selected gear, but you don't really need the rest of it. It's got a button to add lights and different things. So yeah, it would be nice to see sort of integrated into the top tube, just more simple with some LEDs for mountain biking, like on the Specialized and the latest Bosch motors. It's good enough for now, and I'm sure it's something that these guys know about and are working on for the future. Batteries. This one comes with a 750 watt-hour battery, which is pretty massive, really. It's equivalent to Specialized Kenevo, the bigger battery, 700, and Bosch Power Tube bikes with 750 battery. The 750 battery is sort of in line with the down tube. There's also an option for a massive 960 watt-hour battery, which is a bit thicker and sticks out a bit from the down tube, but still looks good on the photos. Definitely not as ugly as some of the e-bikes from the past. So as I said, the bigger battery just sort of sticks out a couple of centimetres, maybe less, all the way down, just to fit in the extra cells. I've done some 40-45 kilometre rides on this and come back with 17-20% battery each time. So the 750 battery is big enough for a really good e-bike ride. When it comes to shifting, the grip shift has truly gone from the Pinion range. We've now got the Smart Shift version. I have the same on my non-e-mountain bike downstairs. So the same shifter now for the e-bike or the non-e-bike. It's nice, pretty intuitive, classic style gear shifter. You can choose in the app or on the control which lever you want to change up or down. I actually changed it reverse to standard. Feels more natural to me. There's 4 power modes. There's Eco, which is the lowest power mode. Fly, which is a turbo or boost, which gives you full power, sort of regardless how much energy you put into the cranks. Then there's 2 sort of e-mountain bike modes. Flow, which is the lower power, and Flex, which is the higher power version. In those 2, it's torque sensitive, so if you pedal gently on the cranks, it'll give you a little bit of power. If you stamp harder on the pedals, it'll give you all the way up to the full 90 Newton meters on the Flex mode. I've been using it on the Flex mode, feels absolutely great to me, very natural feel. I haven't rode the latest updates of the Specialized or the Bosch or the Shimano within the last 2 years, but it feels similar to me. I'm sure there could be some more software updates in the future to make it even better. The shifting is amazing. It's unbelievably fast. The best shifting I've had on any mountain bike ever. 12 gears, electric shifting, super quick. When you're riding, 98% of the shifts you don't really hear or feel. It's just straight in, straight in. Once you're pedaling with a bit of wind noise, you barely hear. Shifting into harder gears, nearly instant every time. Shifting into easier gears, absolutely incredible. Better than any shifting system I've ever used. It's better than the Smart Shift on the non-e-bike. If you are going at a slow cadence and a slow speed and you've got a lot of torque on the pedals on something really stiff, it can be a bit of a clunk, but it does still change under load exceptionally well. You press the shifter and it waits for the right time when there's not so much power going in, and it changes. So you can basically shift under full load. It's incredible. 2 of the shifts are slightly slower than the other shifts, but still, I think, much faster than any derailleur system. This is basically because in the gearbox, you've got 3 sets of 4 gears. So you've basically got 3 front chainrings and 4 sprockets on a cassette, if you want to put it into mountain bike terms. So if you change gear 1, 2, 3, 4, it's just changing along the cassette. But if you change from 4th to 5th, it then changes front chainring, essentially, and moves all the way back down the sprocket to 1st. So to move into 5th gear, it has to do 2 changes, so that just takes a little bit longer. And the same from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 5, 6, 7, 8. And the same from 8 to 9. A little bit longer change, but still overall incredible. So it shifts better than any derailleur I've used. More quickly, more quietly, no crunching. It also has normal gearbox benefits of you can just change anytime you want, as many as you like. Absolutely amazing. You don't need to be pedaling, you don't need to be moving. If you are pedaling and you are moving, it also works. I haven't really got used to it yet, but I think if you're really riding this bike for 4, 5, 6 months, you really get into it, you'll be changing lots more. Because you can change any time, you're changing more regularly, which means you need to do fewer changes in like the difficult, awkward times, like going up steep climbs. You can see the climb coming up, you can change, you can feel yourself generating speed going down a hill. You can pre-change up a few gears ready. If you're coming into like a really tight, blown out corner full of mud, you can a couple of gears before you hit the corner, hit it, pedal out in an easier gear. Absolutely fantastic. And all that, there's no derailleur to hit. You've got nothing to hit on the back. Really good for e-biking. I don't know about you guys, but when I go e-biking, I generally go off more exploring. I ride tracks that I haven't rode before. I ride old, lost tracks in the forest, trying to find new things. So sometimes you're riding through more like fallen trees, branches, brambles that might get caught in the derailleur. Got a pinion, so I can't get sticks damaging my derailleur. And now I've got a stick properly wedged. That's all gone. That problem's gone. Also talking about durability, this bike's got this big all-around bash guard. You don't have to run this bash guard, but it comes on this bike. The way the frame's shaped with the belt, the motor, this roller, and the bash guard, there's basically no way you could really damage the belt at all from incoming rocks or trail stuff. You're going to be extremely unlucky if that happens. Extremely well protected. The motor seems extremely powerful to me. On paper, it says it's 90 Newton meters, which is a little bit more than Bosch at 85, Shimano at 85, and I think Specialized Broza might also be 90, so very similar power output, or slightly above the rest of the market leaders. One complaint that some people have on the normal Pinion bikes is there's a lot of pickup on the cranks, so you get quite a big dead spot in your pedaling. It's actually a lot less on the e-bike motor. The pickup's a lot less. It feels more like a normal bike. There's still a bit of slack in it, but yeah, definitely better than the normal gearbox. I don't know exactly why that is, but something to do with the clutches and the shifting being integrated. One thing I've heard a couple of people mention is there's not much roll-on the chainring. So the roll-on is when you're pedaling and you stop pedaling, the chainring will keep rotating slightly. This is really handy for like e-mountain biking. If you want to go up a step, for example, where you need to stop pedaling to avoid hitting your pedals on the step, you can pedal, sort of hop up the step, and when you stop pedaling, the chainring will keep driving you, so it'll keep driving you over things. A couple of people have mentioned that the roll-on isn't as much as other bikes. This is a bit of a grey zone because too much roll-on would make it illegal, really, because an e-bike should only give you power when you're pedaling. If you have a throttle, or it's automatically adding more roll-on. That's sort of on its way to become a motorbike, so I'm not sure if that'll be in a software update in the future just to improve that a little bit. For me, I've done quite a lot of technical climbing and didn't notice that to be a problem at all. Seemed to just go up absolutely everything. Gates carbon drive. I absolutely love the Gates carbon drive. I've had one on my gravel bike for years, no problems. I've had mountain bikes with it in the past. I've had e-bikes with it in the past. This is just Absolutely amazing. The way the teeth on the belt are shaped, it pushes the mud away as it rotates. And this works with the teeth on the sprockets. The way they're shaped, the mud all just gets pushed out. So as you're riding, it's self-cleaning. I've come back from a few muddy rides on this, and the chain rings, or the belt rings, are just completely polished, like the rest of the bike's covered. The friction surface of the belt and the sprockets is like brand new, perfectly clean. You know, when you're getting home from like a really long ride, and you've been riding like in the mud, but it's not raining, the mud's dry, and everything's caked on the bike. All the oils come off your chain. You're in like second gear, grinding up a hill to get home, and it's horrible, noisy. You can feel you've lost a lot of efficiency. 45 kilometers in the mud, this feels exactly the same on the last kilometer as it did on the first. Absolutely amazing. Also, if you watch the Gates chain versus belt efficiency testing videos on the Universal Transmissions website, that essentially proves that the belt is more efficient than a chain in most scenarios. Definitely on an e-bike, apart from the very first few kilometers maybe on the chain, it'll be more efficient, but the used belt is going to outperform a chain any day. If you've been into e-biking over the last few years, you'll know that you smash through chains and cassettes and sprockets. Just more wear, the chain gets destroyed, you change gear, and the motor doesn't know that you're changing gear, so it's still putting the power in it, clunks up the cassette, twisting the chain, and just doing more miles, more kilometers. This thing should last like 20,000 Ks, maybe more. The Motor.Gearbox.Unit should just last forever, essentially. 10,000 kilometers for a gearbox oil change. That takes about 3 minutes. All you need is a bleed kit, which costs about €20. All it is a syringe with a correct adapter to screw into the gearbox. Suck the oil out, 60ml of fresh oil back in, you're done. The belt doesn't need any cleaning, any maintenance, and yeah, it'll last for, I don't know, 30,000, 40,000 Ks. People rode around the world, literally rode around the world on a single belt drive, which is 18,000 kilometers. Love the belt drive. You don't need oil. Sometimes it gets a little bit squeaky. A little bit of silicone spray will stop any squeaks. That's it. It's amazing to get home from a really shitty, muddy ride and not have to worry about cleaning your bike and waking up the next day and seeing it all rusted out and dried on. You also won't need to spend hours of your life cleaning chains there with a pick, picking all the mud out of your jockey wheels. So the belt drive, absolutely amazing. Absolutely love it. More efficient than the chain. No oil, no cleaning. Perfectly straight, really quiet. There's no metal in there. There's no metal to rattle on your frame. You don't need to mess around with loads of rubber tape on your frame to try and stop the chain slapping. You don't have the chain slapping into your cranks. You don't have the chain slapping into your rim. A lot of bikes, check, all the rim is pinged from the chain slapping. You can't break the derailleur off. Absolutely amazing. On an e-bike, there's no argument against the belt and the gearbox efficiency. On a normal bike, you can argue about that in some ways. On the e-bike, no argument. He just does it. Goes. Absolutely amazing. Talking of mud, one little detail I missed from the last video. This area here, I don't like clearance here. The mud going straight in. This is like piled up with mud a couple of times. And the first time I rode it, a stone actually got stuck in there and then was getting crushed into the frame as the suspension was going up and down. And also behind here, there is quite a bit of mud build-up. So it would be nice if that could be covered some way. You could definitely jerry-rig a bit of inner tube or tape, rubber tape over there to stop that. Or I'm sure some expert German engineer will come up with some kind of 3D printed cover, plastic cover for that in the future. So yeah, one little issue with the frame I didn't mention in the last video because I forgot. Mud clearance there is not great, but what are you going to do? So that's it, the end of the second part of the video. Next video coming up is going to be about the frame kinematics and suspension, and then a bit of an overview to finish. Thanks for watching. If you like all the cool stuff we talked about in this video, go and get a ticket, try and win one, and you could have one of these by the end of July. Get it?